What's up, Madridistas? Kiyan Sobhani here. It is just after 12 a.m. outside of Lincoln Field. Real Madrid just dismantled Salzburg 3-0. I had a lot of fun. I think you guys had a lot of fun. I was a little bit worried for all the Madridistas who woke up around the world. Not sure if this game was going ahead because of the weather. Weather held up, a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind, never killed anyone, no lightning. We can still play ball. So happy for all of you guys that this game was not postponed and canceled. And double happy for you guys to see some fun football, and triple happy for myself because I had a fucking blast covering this one. Excuse my French. I'm going to make this as quick as possible, but it's going to be very hard to do because my head is spinning about how much I want to vomit on this podcast with my notes and just thoughts, reflections, the good and the bad, mostly the good. And I'm going to start with what Xabi Alonso told me after the game. Because as you guys know, if you guys follow me on social media in addition to listening to these podcasts, you know that I'm a prolific tweeter. I tweet a lot during the games, and I'm constantly throwing out analysis. I do halftime analysis, and I just put out random thoughts. And I was going crazy over Gonzalo Garcia, and from this day forth, we're going to go with GG. Not only is he an incredible player, but he's also got the initials GG. So let's roll with it. GG after two really impressive games in the Club World Cup. Already picked up a Man of the Match award one time. Came out and had his best performance of the tournament. And it's not really a stretch to say that he's been, if not Real Madrid's best player, certainly like the top three performers. And I was thinking this throughout the game. He reminds me of Raul. And I say that so cautiously because, as you guys know, Raul is my idol. He is my favorite player of all time. He is literally the guy who drew me in to watching Real Madrid and becoming a hardcore fan. After my dad kind of passed on Madridismo to me, I was watching the games with him, and I was like, who's this guy? Raul, he's incredible. And I just became a huge Raul fanboy. And so I say this so cautiously because in no way, shape, or form am I going to say that Gonzalo Garcia is as good as Raul. Don't get my words twisted. All I'm saying is that he reminds me of him because of how intelligent he is off the ball. His instinct is there. He knows where to be. He knows what runs to make. His link-up play is great. His touches, his shoulder drops, his dribbling. He looks fantastic. And then he just, as I was thinking this throughout the game, he goes out and chips the fucking keeper like Raul did. And I'm like, all right, I just got to tweet it at this point. He reminds me of a certain number 7. And it's funny because as I was walking out of the press box, one of my really good journalist buddies, Mario Cortejana, was asking me about my tweet. He said, who are you talking about? And I said, Raul. And he agreed with me, and we were just walking and talking, and then we sat next together in the press conference. And I asked Xabi Alonso, this was my question to him. I said, how much did you know about Gonzalo Garcia, and how surprised were you with him to gain your trust so quickly when you arrived? And Xabi, out of nowhere, even though I wasn't asking him about this specific thing, said that Gonzalo Garcia reminds him of Raul. And Mario just looked at me and kind of just chuckled. And I was like, yes, it's one thing for me, a nobody, to say it on Twitter. It's another thing that Xabi fucking Alonso just brought this up and agrees with me, even though obviously he didn't see my tweet. So this was Xabi Alonso's full quote to me. He said, I knew Gonzalo Garcia well before I arrived. I've been following Castilla a lot. I knew a lot of Castilla players. To be honest, I am not surprised. He is a typical number 9. He reminds me of Raul. He's always in the right position and always waiting for the chance. His work ethic is great. The players from Castilla, they get a chance and they fight for it. That's what he's doing. We need him more. We want him to be here, and we're happy for him. So I wanted to lead this podcast with Gonzalo Garcia because in a lot of ways, he came out of nowhere. He did not come out of nowhere for those who watch Castilla regularly and knew that he had one of, if not arguably the greatest season by one single Castilla player, at least statistically speaking. He scored the most amount of goals in one single season. So people who watched him knew. And obviously, you guys who didn't watch Castilla, if you watched Real Madrid last season, you saw Gonzalo Garcia impress in the limited minutes he did get with Carlo. Having said that, I think even the most avid Gonzalo Garcia admirers and the ones who were driving the agenda, and I would like to include myself as the flag bearer of that, I don't think anyone expected him to start in these games right away over Mbappe and just be lights out. And I think what Xabi said here is interesting because I think in a lot of ways, first of all, Xabi said some incredible things in the press conference tonight. And I think as far as Xabi ball and Xabi press conference goes, tonight was the apex of the 3 games so far. And hopefully a good omen in that this is just baby steps in progression because every game has been better. Every game we've seen improvements in different facets of the game. While I don't think tonight was perfect because in the second half we saw the team get exposed a little bit, we are seeing the trend in the right direction. But when Xabi said that Castilla players, when they get a chance, they fight for it. How many times have we seen that in club history? A player that is born into the fabric of Real Madrid, literally La Fabrica, the factory. They care so deeply about the club, and for that reason, they also play with a certain urgency and work ethic. Um, I think just the fact that Xabi also said I knew him well, and I've been following Castilla a lot, and I knew a lot of Castilla players, spoke volume to me. Speaks volumes to me, I guess. It's 12:15 a.m. Cut me a break. The fact that he is so attuned to so many different things, and honestly, there's been just a few things we've been missing at Real Madrid over the past year or so, and I think just the idea of trusting a youth team player like that right off the bat, just because the coach feels he's ready. And if you're ready, you're ready. Doesn't matter if you're from Brazil, Argentina, or the Spanish capital. If you're ready and you're talented, you should be on the field. And I think there has been some of this missing at Real Madrid until now. And I think a lot of the things we saw today on the field, we quite frankly haven't seen at Real Madrid in a long time. In particular, the clear ideologies and the clear identity and the structure in the build-up phase. Tchouaméni played the third center back today. We kind of saw this new look 3 at the back system. I think it has some kinks, but a lot of those kinks are actually more defensively. I'll get into that now. On the ball, it works. Tchouaméni played it perfectly. He went into that third center back position, and I think Tchouaméni is going to be vital in this system moving forward because he is in that unique situation where he can play both center back and DM. And now he's playing in the middle of the 3 center back system. And he has the vital task of organizing the build-up play, but also covering when Rudiger and Dean Howson or any of the fullbacks get beat. And I thought his defensive coverage tonight was fantastic. I love Tchouaméni today. But you can just see the team and the way they build up and the verticality in with which they play with. This was the most control they've had in any game so far. This was the best pressing they've had. The pressing was awesome tonight. And you can talk about Arda Güler continually being great defensively these last couple games. Gonzalo Garcia, off the top of my head, like 4 times, he led the press and won the ball. Jude Bellingham, incredible. Fede Valverde's 2-way presence, incredible. I feel like we're finally maximizing Fede and Jude. I feel like Güler's place in the midfield feels natural now. Like it doesn't feel like this forced thing, like Güler playing out of position. He looks at home. And Xabi Alonso said something really interesting after the game. He said that with Arda and Jude's positioning, we're trying to get different heights between the lines. So Jude takes up positions between the lines higher up the pitch and acts as an outlet, while Güler drops a little bit deeper And now all of a sudden you have a chain of verticality to hit because Goulier has a nice touch from deep. He knows how to be close to the center backs to provide them with an outlet, and he has that vertical pass in him. And I like the fact that while we do have control and solid build up, we also have license to hit that long ball over the top to Vinny anytime the chance arises. So Dean Howson, he's built for this role. Literally, if you had to tailor make a defender for this system, it's Dean Howson because he has those balls over the top in his toolbox. And I thought his passing actually wasn't as tip top as it's been the first couple games, but he's also made up for it with really good defense. I think one thing we saw. Sorry, I'm just gonna put this laptop away because it's killing my arms, and that feels better. So one thing that um, I think it's important to note is that while Real Madrid were really good in the first half, their press was fantastic. Everyone played well, pretty much. Vinny, it took him some time to get going, but once he got going, he took his goal really well. And then moments later, like 3 minutes later, he has that Guti-esque back pass to Fede. By the way, those 5 minutes with those two goals to end the half, I kid you not, when Jude Bellingham slices that vertical pass to Vinny to set him up for the first goal, there was like this audible like it was like this orgasm. It was like a collective stadium orgasm. You could hear it when Jude slung the pass because it was such a beautiful pass. He literally threaded the needle on that. And the first half was so good in so many different facets of the game. I think Salzburg had one attack. It was in the 27th minute. The second half, it started not as good as the first half, right? So second half, I don't know if it was like fatigue settling in, but the passing in transition wasn't as good. We were coughing up possession. We were missing some runners in the box. Our midfield was getting bypassed. And I don't know if it's a fatigue thing or if it's because it's early on and you can't expect perfection from 1 to 90. But I think it was important to note that Xabi Alonso immediately recognized the drop-off and he went to the bench immediately. Triple sub, minute 67. That triple sub, by the way, was lined up about 5 minutes prior. 61, 62 minutes, he had called Jacobo and Modric and Rodrigo to come onto the field. So he makes a triple sub. And then, of course, Brahim comes in, and then Ceballos comes in, and Brahim and Ceballos continue to pick up the ball well. And so there was a clear recognition that this system from Xabi Alonso is taxing and it's demanding. But he also reacts accordingly by rotating quickly. He uses the players in his entire squad, and he makes the subs he needs to make without it lingering, without killing or running his 18 players into the ground. So I like that about him. Maybe I shouldn't have closed my laptop because now I'm going to forget what I need to talk about. Trent, mixed bag, I thought, but overall very good. He had some great passes into the box. He had one really great sequence to end the second half, which nearly resulted in a goal. Still a little bit, I think, loose on the ball at times, and I think that needs to improve. Maybe with match fitness, with mental awareness. I think Rudiger and that half space, kind of like between Rudiger, Trent, and then where Tchouameni occupies just the middle, that right side, a little bit vulnerable. Again, I think and I'm writing about this, so one of the themes I think will be this season that Real Madrid will have a lot of great things happening, but let's not sugarcoat it. There are going to be weaknesses because every team has weaknesses, and with Real Madrid, it's going to be that when they lose possession and they can't win the ball back through their counter press, and the counter press was good for large stretches today, particularly in the first half. If they can't win the ball back in those situations, they're going to be vulnerable defending in transition, and they're going to have to be putting out fires. It's going to be a big onus on the right center back in that system. In the last couple of games, it was Asensio. We saw that didn't go great. I think Asensio had some good moments cleaning up that mess, but he also had some moments, as we discussed to death, that he needs to react better. For what it's worth, I think there were a couple times where Tchouameni read those situations well and snuffed it out. There was one time where he actually pulled up and kept the attacker offside, and he read that really well too. So these are all things that Real Madrid will have to improve on as the season goes on. And I'm really interested to see how Mbappe gets integrated into this squad. What does it mean for Gonzalo Garcia? I assume he goes to the bench with Mbappe comes in. But now all of a sudden with Gonzalo Garcia, you have a very capable backup center forward who doesn't require you to reshuffle the system. Like, think about this. And I know this is my thing. This is one of the agendas I've been pushing the last week or two. I get that Budimir is a taller version of Gonzalo Garcia and better in the air, but it's not worth it to me to get that extra unique profile to bench and take away Gonzalo Garcia's minutes. And consider this point. Gonzalo Garcia is an underrated target. Plus, he can do so much more than a Budimir. Plus, the other added benefit is if Mbappe can't play, you don't need to reshuffle the system now. Gonzalo Garcia can literally just be airdropped into the Mbappe role and have great link up play and solid ball progression, great pressing. So just whatever this Gonzalo Garcia thing is, I think it's a special thing. Roll with it. I want to see more of it. And I think we will see more of it. Fran Garcia, my dad texted me in the second half. He's like, Fran Garcia looks better. I was like, yeah, I agree. This kind of felt like more of the Fran Garcia at Rayo Vallecano that we wanted to see at Real Madrid. So leave it to Xabi Alonso to elevate the entire team, which is great. Um, Finally, and I'll maybe end with this. By the way, I kind of touched it on in passing, but all three of those midfielders, Fede and Arda and Jude, to different varying roles were fantastic. Jude's touches and Goulet's touches under pressure tonight, unbelievable. I'm just telling you right now, get ready for it because last season we heard a lot of shit, people criticizing Jude Bellingham because he was in a system where he was being run into the ground and the team was not maximizing his strengths. Get ready for it. This season, people are going to watch Real Madrid play and watch Jude Bellingham in this system and just remember, oh yeah, this guy is the best midfielder in the world and there's no doubt about it. And you're going to see that this season under this system. I have no doubt about it in my mind. Just look out for Jude Bellingham this season and beyond in the Xabi Alonso era being used properly is going to be lights out. And everyone who forgot is going to remember real quick. That being said, I did want to touch on the Rodrigo situation. Just talking to some people tonight, it seems like he's on his way out. And if he gets scattered minutes here and there like he did tonight, it seems like more of a strategic thing to just kind of to basically go through the process of like, this is your role if you stay. You're not going to play much. You're going to play here and there. You're obviously a very special player, but his time might be up. And I can't say for sure because this is not my own source. This is just talking to people here tonight that do know a thing or two, and they're people I trust. It seems like he has one foot out the door, and it seems like Arsenal is probably the destination. Just putting that out there. Again, it's not my information to report, so I can't say for sure anything one way or the other, but that seems to be the situation right now. And I imagine that when Mastantuono comes in and Rodrigo will probably be gone by then Mastantuono will kind of eat up those minutes, plus Gonzalo Garcia coming into the team. It's the front three or so kind of shakes out naturally with Mbappe, Vinny, Mastantuono, Gonzalo Garcia, that's 4, Brahim Diaz, that's 5. And then the sixth, I guess Endrick will come back at some point. I don't know what his role will be necessarily, but then you have Jude Bellingham who can potentially play there. But it's kind of, and Victor Munoz if he gets trusted more and more. So take it for what it is. That's just the way. That's my read on the situation based on the conversations I had tonight and how it might shake out. So there you go. Juventus next round in Miami. I think June 30th, if I'm not mistaken, or is it July 1st? Either way, Miami next. I got a couple more days in Philly just to hang out, spend some time with some family, and do some work, and then back to Florida. Time to go sleep. Time to go eat. Kiyan Sobhani signing off from Lincoln Field. Very happy but tired. And thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, thank you so much to the people. I should have said this like a few days ago. I'm sorry. You guys who came out in Miami to our podcast, much love to you. It's such an honor for me to actually meet you guys in person. One of the best things about following Real Madrid in the US is doing these podcasts in specific cities that Real Madrid go to with the people who listen to this podcast. And I said it to you guys in person. I say it to everybody I see in person. When I do this podcast, when we do this podcast, we kind of put it out. It's kind of like putting out a signal into the universe. You don't know who hears it. You know people hear it because you see the numbers and you're like, oh, yeah, there's like thousands of tens of thousands of people listening to it. Like, that's awesome. But then you meet them in real life and they're just such awesome people. It's never happened in my life that I've done a live podcast in a city and not every single human being in that room wasn't just incredible. Such good people. You guys are awesome. Thank you for coming out in Miami. We couldn't do one in Philly. We can't do one in Miami when we go back. There's no time. We are doing one in New York on July 12th. God willing, Real Madrid will be there. But if not, we're still doing one in New York anyway. So put the link in the show notes if you want to sign up to our New York podcast. Those of you in Philly, I know there were a lot of you who wanted to meet up. Hopefully New York, listen, not hopefully. New York is close enough for you guys to get to. You're in Philadelphia, make it happen. I want to see you guys make the trek. I want to see you guys make the drive or the train ride to New York, Times Square, July 12th. We'll see you there, okay, guys? All right. Hala Madrid, man. Chabby ball. It was fun tonight. See you guys later.